Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Have a seat, Akash.
Thank you, sir.
Akash from Dhanbad, Jharkhand.
Yes, sir.
Optional as philosophy,
Yes, sir.
and you have done your MBBS.
Yes, sir.
You are working as medical officer at Dhanbad.
Yes, sir.
It's a private organization,
Yes, sir. It is a private clinic.
private clinic. You are fond of chess, swimming, and have also served as house captain.
Yes, sir.
So, first question, which I would be interested in knowing, that generally it is believed that the professionals should be regulated by a professional body only.
Yes, sir.
Now, what are the reasons why MCI ultimately failed and the government was compelled to replace it with a commission?
Sir, the Medical Council of India, that was formed in 1956, it played an important role in medical education since its inception, but in later run, it was marred with charges of corruption, which was alleged, and there were several allegations regarding corruption and the bureaucratic structure that was functioning with MCI that resulted into a lesser number of degree colleges being opened. And to address these issues, government came in with National Medical Council that has both elected as well as selected members. That is kind of a synthesis between elected as well as selected members, and we are hopeful that it would be a better functioning body, sir.
Okay. Now, tobacco,
Yes, sir.
everyone knows it is hazardous for health.
Yes, sir.
So is gutka and all those things.
Yes, sir.
Now, what should be done by the government
Yes, sir.
to discourage the use of tobacco, knowing fully well that it is so injurious to health?
So the most important thing that this Indian society at this time, at this juncture of time, needs is awareness. First of all, the government should go for awareness campaign through IEC media and everything, so as to make people aware that what are the injurious impacts of cancer.
That they are doing.
And we are going, yes, sir, the government is doing that, and that is quite impactful. Many people have left tobacco consumption as well. And other than that, sir, scent tax that is being charged on tobacco, it has also been acting as an impediment for its usage. And other than that, sir, doctors themselves can act as role models, wherein they can propagate this idea that how injurious this is and this should not be practiced. They should lead by example, sir.
Okay. Now, of late, there has been more and more companies,
Yes,
and they are trying to have a marketing strategy
yes, sir.
linked to controversies. So, controversy as a strategy for marketing. How do you see that? It happens in films, it happens in many places.
Sir, these events, these marketing strategies are guided by the economic principles involved. Uh, they are mostly guided to gain maximum, but morally, these are something that should not be appreciated. And morally, it is wrong, sir. Ethically, it is wrong to do so. But the market forces to achieve or to taper on the market, the demands of market. These strategies have been adopted by various movies as well as various institutions as well, but they should not be promoted.
So,
sir.
what is the difference between an art film
Yes, sir.
and a commercial film and an independent cinema?
Sorry, sir, I don't think that I have completely.
You're not aware about it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Taliban rule in Afghanistan.
Yes, sir.
What is its effect on India?
Sir, recently the regime was changed, wherein when US took off its forces, it was the regime was taken by Taliban. India doesn't have a good history, good past with this Taliban government. When it was previously in the regime, in the power, that was in 1996 to 2001, India faced a lot of issues, and it was anti-India in its stand. So as of now, sir, India's stand is to first of all safeguard its national interest, and then we'll see whether to recognize such a nation or not. So India is working towards the same, sir.
Commercialization of healthcare, is it good or bad?
So considering the noble nature of the profession, from my personal point of view, sir, excessive commercialization is bad. But commercialization is need as well, so as to get access to modern technologies and use it in a remunerative manner, as it is also a skill and is covered under Consumer Protection Act of 2019. So there should be a balance, sir.
What about the exploitation? And sometimes, the targets are given to the doctors to rope in as many patients as possible. Does it not lead to that vis-a-vis the government hospitals where no such thing is done?
Definitely, sir. If such things are happening where there are targets being set or profiteering is the motive, that should be curbed. And
How do we curb that? Once they have opened up the hospitals, how do you curb that? Can you tell me the way to do that?
So, as such, it is the hospital management that is most of the times, which are guided by the principle of profiteering, and making them aware of or keeping a price ceiling with treatments and diagnostic tests that are involved. A lot of things can be achieved, sir. Like it happened during the COVID pandemic in Delhi as well, or in Dhanbad, or various places wherein district administration put caps that profiteering should not be there, and a basic minimum price was fixed, sir.
Even the medicine called injection called remdesivir,
Remdesivir, sir.
remdesivir, they made huge, like was sold in black marketing.
So the black market was mostly not regulated, and that was a responsibility of government to curb this.
My last question to you would be,
Yes, sir.
knowing fully well that junk food is not good,
Yes, sir.
do you think junk food should be banned in India?
Sir, right to eat or the freedom of choice to eat is a fundamental right. People should be made aware and about the ill effects of junk food, and parents specifically should be made aware of such things, and students as well, or the children or the youth should be made aware of its ill effects, and it could be regulated but not banned, sir. Banning cannot be an option.
Do you understand the difference between direct and indirect taxes?
Yes, sir.
And can you give examples?
So direct taxes like income tax or corporate tax, whose incident falls directly on the individual, and indirect taxes like goods and services tax or value added tax, which are indirectly borne by the individuals.
Okay. If I ask you what are the sources of revenue
Yes, sir.
of a state government,
Yes, sir.
what would you name?
So the excise duty that is under the regime of state government, along with that the value added tax, and the greatest share comes from the GST share, that is 41% devolution from the GST is given to states, sir.
And any other major sources?
As
You are
the
from
land,
Jharkhand.
the land registration fees, these are something that adds to it, and revenue generation from minerals, sir, minerals and mines.
Mining is a very big source in Jharkhand.
Yes.
Must be. Well, that's good. Now, suppose you have to acquire land from private persons
Yes, sir.
for a public project.
Yes, sir.
What will be the major steps under the Relevant Act?
So there is a land there is
It
a
is called
policy.
LARR Act.
Yes, sir. Land acquisition and rehabilitation, or sorry,
Yes,
sir, I'm
yes.
not able to
Forget about the name.
LARR Act. There is an act which guides which has a guiding principle towards acquiring such lands.
Yes.
And
What are those major five steps? You can tell me.
sorry, sir, I'm not able to recall.
Okay. Now, we have been, seeing that this reservation, which was brought in long ago, it is there in the system. It has not gone. But over the years, what has happened is what is witnessed
Yes, sir.
is that some castes have almost dominated a particular quota, be it
Yes,
SC, be it ST, or be it OBC.
Yes, sir.
In various states, various dominating castes are there.
Yes, sir.
Now, to to avoid this and to not, to prevent them from cornering most of the benefit, should we subdivide these slabs of reservation
The
as
government
has
is
been done in some states?
and government is working towards it, sir. And it needs to be seen. There is a Rohini commission that has been set up to look into this matter.
When was it set up?
Sir, I don't remember the exact year. But
Approximately how many years before?
it was 5 years before, I think. So, sir, 2017 or 18, I think.
Okay, that means there is no will.
No, sir. The process is too tedious and complex. So there is will, but such complexities needs to be handled quite carefully.
Well, what is your opinion? Should it be subdivided, or should we retain the present system?
So first of all, proper data needs to be collected to assess that yes, there is reality in this allegation.
Empirical evidence says
Yes.
that yes, there is dominance of one or two castes.
Sir, if empirical evidence suggests so, then definitely, sir, there is need to reform this, because the purpose of reservation is to improve the social and economic condition of a specific set of peoples belonging to a specific caste, and not only to one or two castes. So this needs to filter down or trickle down to each and every corner of the society, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Akash, now you have done your MBBS
Yes,
and you're working as medical officer.
yes, sir.
So, what is it which is propelling you to come to civil service?
So I did my MBBS, and if I remain a doctor, then I feel, sir, my scope would be quite limited to health sector only. While civil services would provide me an opportunity, a platform for using my skills in diverse sector, and moreover, sir, the number of people that I would reach as a doctor in my lifetime would be quite limited as compared to a civil servant's approach. And even as a doctor, sir, my scope in health sector as well is limited to only treatment aspect. While a bureaucrat is, I think, according to me, is a better health provider, a bigger health provider, as health is multidimensional, sir.
So, that means that all the doctors should join the bureaucracy.
No, sir, there needs to be a balance between both doctors as well as bureaucrats, and there are ample number of doctors, and much more are supposed to be made by government policies that have been opted. as of
If
now.
we look at the society,
Yes,
the doctor commands tremendous respect,
yes, sir.
and this was more so during the COVID time.
Yes, sir.
On the other hand, the bureaucrat did not necessarily command respect. He is feared, but people don't respect him that much.
So that is a perception. With due respect, I would like to differ, because many a times there are bureaucrats who are quite famous, and they are respected. Because I am from Dhanbad, since childhood I have seen the portrait of, there is a statue of Randhir Verma, late. He was awarded Mahavir Chakra.
Okay.
It always instilled a feeling of respect for him, sir, the way he had served the society. So they both have respect, sir, in the society.
Okay. So anyway, you have decided to join the civil service. You're most welcome. Now you are interested in chess. What is Indian defense in chess?
So it is a kind of hyper-modern defense, Indian defense, wherein the movement is of the black pieces from the pawn is moved to the G6 position, and the knight is moved to NF6 position. That is our Indian defense. And then there is castling that happens after placing the bishop into the position of G6, G7, and there is castling, sir.
Okay. You opted philosophy as your subject.
Yes.
So what are the 6 schools of Indian philosophy?
So it is Sankhya, Yoga, then there is Nyaya, Vaisheshik, and Mimamsa and Vedanta. These are orthodox schools of philosophy.
Okay. And what is the difference between Indian system of philosophy, as we call it, darshan,
Yes, sir.
and the Western concept of philosophy?
Sir, Indian concept I feel, sir, is more holistic, and that focuses upon not just finding the knowledge, but also trying to explain the existence of self. And it talks about soul as well as God. That has been focused quite well in Indian philosophy. While in Western philosophy, sir, the most focus is on finding the true knowledge. That is a basic epithet on which Western philosophy has worked upon.
Okay. Now, recently there was a Raisina dialogue in Delhi.
Yes, sir.
What is that dialogue? What is the purpose and why it was introduced?
So, Raisina Dialogue acts as a platform for discussion of international relations and affairs that are of global importance, and many countries come and participate in this dialogue. And major policy formulations regarding global arena, they are talked upon and they are deliberated upon. Sir.
Why was it introduced? There's so many policy dialogues take around the world.
Yes, sir.
Many countries have this kind of dialogue. Why do we need one?
Sir, I'm not quite aware that of the certain answer, but I think, sir, to increase our soft power, that we opted for this thing, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Akash, can you tell us what are the complaints of public
Yes, sir.
from the administration? What are their grievances?
Sir, the biggest grievance is regarding the lack of outreach, that people feel that bureaucrats are not reachable.
Not reachable.
Not reachable in the sense that it is very difficult.
But you all actually, all the aspirants,
Yes.
when we ask this question, the reply is that we will go to masses, we will be working at grassroots level, we want to reach to them.
Yes, sir. That is a perception that we want to change, sir. Because bureaucrats are public servants, and it is what.
So that is number one complaint,
Yes, sir.
that you are not approachable. Then second,
Second, sir, I think, sir, the problem is not with the bureaucrats
but
as such.
I'm asking about the perception of the masses, the people, about the government servants or bureaucracy or the civil servants.
So, because of the anonymity involved in the services,
Yeah, but
so,
what are the complaints? There is no complaint.
so there are few.
But what are those here? Those few.
So, like bureaucratic hurdles that we talk about, that any policy decision or implementation is not implemented properly. Many a times there are loopholes in its implementation. This is sometimes attributed to bureaucrats who are involved for the implementation of the policy concerned, sir.
Any other complaint you see?
Sorry, sir, I don't know.
Not about corruption. That the bureaucracy is very corrupt.
Corruption has been, sir, alleged, but
No, but it is from the masses side. You will say that there is no corruption, isn't it?
sir, yes,
Is
corruption.
there
has been
corruption or
alleged.
no?
Sir, at many places there are corruption which needs to be curbed, and
And then they say there is very inefficient.
sir, but that would not be true if
Not true.
it is
It's
said
very
that
efficient.
they are quite efficient, as we saw
Give
in.
example of efficiency.
Sir, the way we managed the crisis of COVID,
Hmm.
the unprecedented situation that it
But
posed.
WHO says that you are not actually giving the correct data.
Sir, India has clarified that the for methodology that WHO has used is not
Question
appropriate.
any methodology.
So based on methodology, the results can change. As in WHO case, they have just uh, taken that the number of normal, the number of deaths in normal scenarios, and as per the compared to that, the increase of number of deaths, and they have attributed all of them
Tell
to
us
COVID.
tell us what Sardar Patel wanted from the civil service.
Sir,
1, 2, 3 like this, not a general answer, not bullet points. 1, 2, 3.
Sir, Sardar Patel firstly wanted that Indian bureaucracy should act as the steel frame of Indian executive system.
Steel frame.
Yes, sir.
That was one.
Yes, sir. And secondly, sir, he wanted that this system should function in a way which is public centered. that is
Public center.
different from the existent bureaucracy that was during the British regime. And thirdly, sir, he wanted it to be corruption free, a corrupt free functioning body, sir.
That's all.
Sir, for now, I can recall only that much.
Not
Sir.
about neutrality.
Sir, those are the attributes that are that should bureaucrat should have, like
Ethical, more ethical.
it's a neutrality, non-partisanship,
So
accountability.
have we done that? Have we achieved that? Have we lived up to those expectations of Sardar Patel?
So mostly we have lived up to that.
Most
Those
of
in,
them.
yes, sir, mostly. we
Good,
have.
very good. Now my last question is that in a democracy,
Yes, sir.
we have you see the concept of welfare state.
Yes, sir.
Look after actually all welfare activities.
Yes, sir.
Which sections of the society deserve the most of the attention of the state?
So as
In
I
order of priority, number 1, 2, 3, like.
okay, sir. So firstly, the individuals who are socially, educationally, and economically backward.
Which are those?
So they are like the SC community people who are illiterate and they don't have access to land. They are
So one is
landless.
SC there.
What, sir?
One is scheduled caste there.
Yes, 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 yes. And so second is then tribal people,
Okay, then next.
and then sir there is socially and educationally backward classes that needs to be addressed.
Then.
And then sir those are economically poor. They should be also taken care of.
Any other category?
And so then rest of the population is there to take care
No,
of.
no.
sir.
Even in the rest of the population, there are people.
It's
Who
a,
they-
Think of the sectors.
Yeah.
Think of the sectors which need to be empowered.
it's a like agriculture sector. The,
Category of.
Category of that's sectors.
sorry, sir.
Just think over it. You will be able to answer.
It's the middle class.
Look within your family itself. Who are the
So specifically the sir, old age individuals like
Old age.
geriatric issues are need to be addressed. Then there are disabled individuals, especially abled individuals that needs to be taken care of. Then sir there are women
Yeah.
there, as well as sir, children.
Okay.
You have completed
Thank you,
your medical education, right?
Yes, sir.
So, what is this controversy surrounding Hippocratic Oath?
Sir, there is a Hippocratic oath that we take when we come into the medical profession, that is after internship is completed. And recently there has been controversy that has been raised because of introduction of Charak oath instead of Hippocratic oath. It was said to replace the Hippocratic oath. That has caused the controversy, sir.
So, do you feel that he, by having or by taking the Charak Oath, the ethical issues in the medical profession can be solved?
So both Hippocratic and Charak oath are, in essence, they are same, sir. They both want to serve the people, and they clearly says that there should be no harm done to any patient. So there would be no change if whether you take a Hippocratic oath, whether one takes a Hippocratic oath or a Charak oath.
So, primarily it is code of ethics, right?
Yes, sir.
In bureaucracy, we have something called as code of conduct.
Yes, sir.
Do you feel that the medical profession should also be guided by the code of conduct or included in the code of conduct?
So there is a code of conduct that we need to follow, and if there are any allegations regarding misconduct, then professional misconduct is assessed, and there is ethics committee of National Medical Council that deals with it, and adequate actions could be taken, like suspension of license or even termination of license as well, sir.
Okay. So regarding the medical education, the quality of medical education in India, don't you see that there is a huge disparity between the candidates belonging to the rural area or a semi-urban area and compared to the urban area? So there is this demand that we should have vernacularization of medical education.
Yes, sir.
How far this is can it be successful with respect to India?
So there is a divide that is between the urban or semi-urban or rural population in access to medical education. And to address this only, there was NEET that was introduced to curb the issue of local state medical examinations and the mushrooming of coaching institutes. But that also was not able to address the issue completely. So vernacularization, sir, that is a way forward. I think in medical education as well, there is scope for vernacularization of the whole.
Any countries, have you observed any model the countries which are teaching the local languages, medical education?
So various countries like in Germany or in France, they use local languages.
So they use for this thing as well.
Yes, sir.
What is IPHS?
Sorry, sir, I don't know.
Indian Public Health Standards.
Thank you, sir, but I'm not able to recall. Sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So Akash, we will take you back for a few minutes outside,
Okay.
and the waiting room will call you back.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
This photograph of yours, is it where you were sporting mustache?
Yes, sir, I have removed it.
You have removed it.
Yes, sir.
And you intend keeping it that way in the
Yes, sir, in the interview.
also.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll just call you.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
So first of all, let me tell you, you don't have to ask for permission for entry. There you will be simply knocking.
Okay, sir.
Someone will be ushering you inside.
Okay,
So
sir.
you just have to then greet
Okay, sir.
the panel. So Akash, first of all, tell me when is your interview due?
So it is on 20th of May.
20th May. So you still have almost 2 weeks with
Yes,
you.
sir, 2 weeks. Sir.
And this is the first time you are coming for an interview
Yes,
at the CSE interview?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So tell me, how do you think you performed at the mock interview? Your own assessment about it.
So it was fine. It was okay.
It is okay.
Yes, sir.
So Akash, let me tell you that you have performed very well in this interview.
Thank you.
And all the three areas which are normally assessed in terms of performance is, one is the knowledge part,
Yes, sir.
where you were having adequate knowledge on almost all the issues, barring one or two issues.
Yes, sir.
The skills, your communication skills, you were balanced. Your dialogue delivery was very good.
Yes, sir.
There were modulation in the voice
Yes, sir.
wherever you wanted to lay stress on a particular point.
Yes, sir.
And otherwise, you were very confident.
Yes, sir.
Your articulation was very good. Choice of sentences was very good. You were using technical words wherever it was necessary. Your mental alertness was absolutely fine.
Yes, sir.
You were able to balance your answers whenever there was a tricky question. So you were able to give both the sides. So these are all things which are, you did not bluff. Also, that again was a positive thing in your favor.
Thank you, sir.
So I think overall it's a very well-rounded personality, and your communication skills, your knowledge, and your attitude are very good.
Thank you, sir.
But having said that, let me say that here it is a competition.
Yes, sir.
So you have to stay 1 or 2 steps ahead of others
Yes, sir.
in
for
order
sure.
to, earn your place there.
Yes, sir.
So therefore, there is no need for any kind of a indifference or complacency. The time which is with you, you try to devote. Take chutti from your organization.
Yes, sir. I have taken.
You have
already.
taken leave.
Yes, sir.
And just devote towards improving your knowledge. The areas where we would like to suggest to you, first of all, your Dhanbad and Jharkhand, they are the most obvious things.
Yes, sir.
So questions may be that what has Jharkhand earned after achieving separate status of
Yes,
a
sir.
state,
Yes, sir.
and then you have to tell what are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Yes, sir.
So all the 4 things, study them very well.
Okay, sir.
Particularly, I would like to say that learn about agriculture,
Yes, sir.
the crops.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes people tend to forget these things, but sometimes question may be asked.
Yes, sir.
What is the mode of irrigation there?
Yes,
What is the intensity of irrigation there?
Yes, sir.
What is the productivity of various crops there? At least 1 or 2 crops which are the most important crops.
Yes, sir.
What is the power situation?
Yes, sir.
What is the mode of irrigation?
Yes, sir.
What is the status of women, the
Yes, sir.
social part?
Yes, sir.
What is the level of education?
Yes,
What
sir.
is the health facilities in your state,
Yes,
which
sir.
you should know very well. And then things like tourism potential,
Yes, sir.
institutions which are important, which have been set up,
Yes, sir.
things about mining and minerals,
Yes, sir.
sources of revenue of the Jharkhand state,
Yes, sir.
which are the different sources, and then which are the local Jharkhand budget.
Yes,
What
sir.
are the prominent things which have been mentioned in the last budget?
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
the stress where the chief minister has been giving.
Yes, sir.
Then the political side also.
Yes, sir.
The chief minister is the governor, and who have been earlier chief ministers, earlier governors.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
and then things like the culture,
Yes, sir.
the music, the dances, the food habits,
Yes, sir.
the social evils.
Yes, sir.
So, and then what can be, how Jharkhand can go ahead.
Yes, sir.
What are the things where if it performs, it will really acquire a very good status economically and socially also.
Yes, sir.
That's about. Then coming to the philosophy. So we have not asked you many questions on
Yes, sir.
philosophy. So philosophy, definitely some questions were asked regarding your Indian philosophy, darshan, and also the Western philosophy. But choose one philosopher
Yes, sir.
whom you can prepare with great confidence.
Okay, sir.
And then if you are asked who is your favorite philosopher,
Yes, sir.
then you can answer the questions on that. This is one area where you should be very strong, in the sense wherever you feel that this is your favorite turf,
Yes,
you
sir.
can come out very well with good answers. So
Yes.
choose 2-3 areas which are your favorite turf,
Okay, sir.
and it can be your hobby, it can be optional, it can be anything. Because sometimes in the last, when the interview ends,
Yes,
the
sir.
chairman asks the candidate that would you like us to ask anything which you think we have not asked you. There you can immediately proactively say that I have prepared on this, you can ask me a question on this. So
Yeah.
that also. So therefore prepare some areas where you are strong.
Okay, sir.
Of course, MBBS, I don't have to mention, you have everything. So elementary thing which I can say about is Ayushman Bharat,
Yes, sir.
what has impact it has made. Then the insurance, the
Jan
health
Arogya Yojana.
insurance,
Yes, sir.
which are the private health insurance companies, and
Yes,
so
sir.
on. And has it really helped? What is the commercialization of health? How it is happening in your?
Yes,
What
sir.
are Lama cases? So even elementary things like
Yes,
Lama
sir.
cases,
Yes, sir.
what is meant by Lama? And then about COVID-19, that of course is the something. And then what are recent advances
Yes, sir.
in the field of medical education which are taking place? So for example, the surgeries are being carried out with artificial intelligence,
Yes,
and
sir.
so on. So those areas, and some of the things which have recently acquired, caught the people eye. Even said, even bypass surgery, who first carried out bypass surgery?
Yes, sir.
These are the things which anyone can ask such things.
Okay, sir.
And then of course I asked you about MCI and other things. So the corruption
Yes,
in
sir.
in the field of this procurement of medicines,
Yes, sir.
there is a problem.
Recognition of college was an
Recognition
issue.
of college is a problem. Generic medicine is again an
Yes,
area
sir.
where questions can be asked. So the field is wide open to
Yes,
you,
sir.
and you must prepare on that. Then
Doctor-patient relationship.
doctor-patient relationships
Yes.
also.
Yes,
Yeah. So the bedside manners and the doctor-patient relationships, all these are important things. Then of course the organization where you are working,
Yes,
they may
sir.
ask you certain facts and figures about the clinic where you are working.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
And then your hobbies: chess, swimming,
Yes,
and
the swimming is interest, hobby is chess. Because for 2 years I am not
okay.
able
But
to do
even then
swimming.
they can ask you about swimming, which
Yes,
are
sir.
the 4 forms of swimming,
Yes,
which
sir.
is the fastest swimming in India, who is the best swimmer, fastest swimmer,
Yes, sir.
and then what is synchronized swimming,
Yes, sir.
who is the
Balance.
world champion in 100 meters freestyle.
Yes,
So
sir.
all kind of things can be asked on swimming side also.
Okay, sir.
And then generally about sports policy in India, because this is general question which may obvious that the sports is now emerging from B class cities and from northeastern areas
Yes,
of this country. Why is it that, and what can be done about to bring more people in sports arena internationally? We should be able to achieve. Then questions were asked regarding the taxes.
Yes,
So
sir.
you have to first of all understand that learn as much as possible regarding the economy of this country.
Yes, sir.
So read the Reserve Bank of India, go into the site of RBI,
Yes, sir.
Niti Aayog, understand what is monetary policy, fiscal policy,
Yes,
what
sir.
are the sources of revenue
Yes, sir.
in central government,
Yes, sir.
sources of revenue in state government, what are direct, indirect taxes,
Yes, sir.
and even the role of chartered accountants. Recently all these things have been in the melting pot.
Yes, sir.
Then a question may arise about in a joining state there is prohibition.
Yes, sir.
So
There.
what has prohibition led to? Is it good or is it bad?
Yes,
So
sir.
such kind of things may be asked. Then Land Acquisition Act question was asked. You
Yes,
should
sir.
know the earlier Land Acquisition Acts, there has been a difference from the old act. First of all, now the market rates are there, and then not all kinds of lands can be acquired,
Yes, sir.
and then there is a process of rehabilitation also. So you should know that also. And then of course in the defense, the chess, so Queen's Gambit and
Yes,
all
sir.
those moves which are there. You even elementary things like one of the Indian authors has written a story on chess, so
Okay.
you should know that.
Okay,
And a
sir.
film was also made of that.
Okay,
So,
sir. Shatranj.
so written by Premchand.
Okay,
Yes.
sir.
So
Thank you.
this
Thank you,
kind
sir.
this kind of, and then Raisina dialogue. So and anything about this, the recent the foreign secretaries, he gave a speech, and he was he was not at all defensive. He was quite aggressive.
Yes, sir.
And so how has this foreign policy changed? Is it for the good or the bad or the worse?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, India and its relation with all its neighbors,
Yes, sir.
that you should go in detail. Then situation developing in and around India, and then maritime laws, etc. You should know.
Yes, sir.
The South China Sea and Wolf Warrior diplomacy, and Russia Ukraine.
Yes, sir.
This today it was in news that parts of Ukraine, they have removed all signboards having English language and this, and they have put Russian thing. So anything about that you should
Yes,
know. Whether India can act as a mediator, what is the status of India internationally after 2014,
Yes,
the
sir.
Prime Minister's visit to the European nations, Brexit. Do you think that England is now repenting its decision to come out of European Union? Okay, looking inwards, Trump's ideology,
Yes,
and
sir.
do you think that Russia Ukraine has offered many challenges to the world
Yes,
in terms of supply chain disruption?
yes,
What
sir.
is Atmanirbhar Bharat? So all these things, they are all
Linked
related to
things.
each
Yes,
other.
exactly.
So you should prepare that. And then, of course, the role of international institutions, particularly United Nations institutions. So you must understand Bretton Woods institution. Is there any need to bring about a change, which have been trying? And then things related to some of the global issues. What are the global issues facing the world?
Yes,
So it can be the climate change and environmental problems and
Yes.
sustainability, and also things like drugs, terrorism, AIDS, trade, migration. So the overall picture you have to take internationally also.
Yes.
So this is about it. And read constitution, and lastly but not the least, read all public policies to
Okay, sir.
for different sectors of for example, the women sections of society,
Yes.
women, children, as I was told to you.
Yes.
So all the laws which are there in for their empowerment
Empowerment.
and protection,
Yes, sir.
and also the public policies which
Okay.
have been framed. And also understand your own state, what is the administrative structure there.
Yes,
So the
sir.
role of collector
Yes,
and
sir.
role of panchayat, the grassroots institutions, that is the Panchayati Raj institution.
Yes, sir.
So if you do all these things, then and Indian public health standards, the question was asked on that.
Yes, sir.
So that you should prepare. And
Yes,
the
sir.
governance issues.
Okay,
So what
sir.
is the administrative structure, role of collector, role of Panchayati Raj institutions, and also the functions of collector. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So that if you are able to, functions of collector you should particularly wear. And one more thing is the last thing, why civil service.
Yes,
Now
sir.
you have to come out with certain very cogent reasons
Yes,
in
sir.
order to explain why you want to shift from medical profession to this,
Yes,
because
sir.
both are medical profession is a noble profession.
Yes,
So
sir.
you will have to
Definitely.
come out with very, very good answers to that. For example, one answer could be, this is not sufficient. I mean, one of the answers is this. You can think about many others. So one thing is that you are a part of the public policy making process,
Yes, sir.
okay, in terms of policy formulation, implementation, and evaluation. The second could be occupying leadership position at a young age.
Yes, sir.
That is something unique about the civil service. It can also be that you will be part of the governance of this country, which will be touching upon the lives of the citizens of this country, because we live in a citizen-centric administration.
Yes, sir.
Then it could be the diverse fields. You will be able to gain knowledge, experience.
Yes,
So in different departments, and finally you can be very creative and innovative. So on Civil Services Day, Prime Minister also, he gives awards to those who have done best practices in this country, those civil servants.
Yes,
So it's very satisfying job also.
yes, sir.
So these are the reasons, and then as I said, that governance and also certain facts about the public health standards,
Yes, sir.
that will be, you must read them. So do you have any questions to ask?
So, regarding the stand with respect to international relations,
Yeah.
that India is following the foreign policy that too aggressively.
Hmm.
So, whether I'm supposed to defend it continuously till the last, because such questions can be asked that India is taking its claim to UNSC permanent membership
Yes.
by going against the US.
Hmm.
Those are such questions how to tackle.
Shankar, would you like to say?
You see, on the question of UN reforms,
Yes, sir.
India's membership is not a question of contest.
Yes, sir.
It is a country which is large in area,
Yes, sir.
seventh largest area wise. It's the second largest population wise. It's a country with civilizational legacy. It is also on PPP basis third largest economy in the world, and it has an international, role.
Yes, sir.
It has played part in various international conflicts. It also provides the largest contingent of international peacekeeping forces around the world. So considering all that, India deserves to be there. And most countries accept it, except China. China also accepts the reasoning, but they say no, the system should be different. So that is not a question there. It's not, we are not pushing it fast. We are pushing that the structure which was constructed in 1945, that was based on the Second World War realities. The realities have changed today considerably.
Yes, sir.
What existed in 45 doesn't exist today, and therefore those realities should be reflected in the UN.
Yes.
And that is our contest. So I think that logic is all accepted. It's only a question of one or two members who are blocking the entire path
Okay, sir.
on that issue. On any other issue on foreign policy?
Sir, how can I explain the stand that India is taking philosophically?
Yes. You see, every country is governed by its national interests,
Yes,
the
sir.
core national interests. One of them is the economic area, one of them is the defense area. These are two major interests. Now, we have to go by the principles of these two very important interests.
Yes,
In case of Ukraine-Russia war, for example, now we are considerably dependent on defense equipment from Russia, also the spare parts.
yes, sir.
And they have also been a reliable partner in the past. Whether it is 71 war or whether it is a question of J&K, they have stood with us. They have even used, a veto in favor of India. So we cannot forget that history, and we have a very strategic, reliable, durable partnership with Russia on the one hand. On the other hand, we have good relations with the US. It's a democratic country. We are a democratic nation. We have good trade with them. We have a large diaspora in that country. We play role in various international fora together. We work together in many international fora.
Yes, sir.
Therefore, our interests are there as well, here as well. So we have to go by balancing those interests. The balancing has to be played.
Okay.
We cannot play in the hands of either Russia or in the hands of US.
Okay, sir.
So I think we have to say that India is not a small country which can play in the hands of other countries. We are a nation, we have our own strategic requirements, on our economic requirements, and we have to give them adequate space in our foreign policy.
Yes, sir.
Because today's foreign policy is not only relations, but it is also impacting on the internal situation of the country.
Yes.
How the economic growth will take place, how the poverty alleviation will happen. Other things are dependent on foreign policy.
Yes.
And those issues we have to look at very carefully when we take a stand on various issues. So today we call it what we call issue-based approach.
Okay, sir.
Issue-based approach to foreign policy.
Before we
Or you can
part,
call it a strategic autonomy.
Autonomy.
Yeah, whatever name.
one more thing which I would like you to touch upon and
Yes.
understand, that is the recent policy of the government of India to privatize the public sector undertaking
Yes.
and entrust many of the public services to the private sector.
Yes.
That you must go through that, why it is necessary, what are the pros and what are the cons, and particularly a large number of sectors have been opened up to the
Yes, sir.
private sector.
Yes, sir.
And what is privatization and what is national asset monetization scheme.
Yes,
So
sir.
that is again something which you must know, and you have to support that.
Yes, sir.
Whenever there is a contradictory opinions, you have to support the official line. That you must keep in mind,
Okay,
and
sir.
always back up your answers with examples. So that will be very good.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
so you will do well.
I'll
Just-
add one more small thing.
Yes, sir.
In case of philosophy, you see, there's a fundamental difference between the Western concept of philosophy and Indian
Indian
concept of darshan.
Yes, sir.
Western concept is basically a thinking process.
Yes, sir.
You think what is right, what should be done, how. So it's mental exercise.
Yes, sir.
Based on that exercise, you come with a theory,
Yes, sir.
and the theory is propounded, whether it's Plato or Aristotle or anybody else.
Yes.
Okay. Indian concept is not based on that theory. It is based on the experience of the individual. That's why it's called darshan. They have seen the reality.
Viewing. Yes, sir.
They have seen. Darshan means they have seen it.
Yes, sir.
So it is based on the experience they had at a particular stage in their, dhyan or meditation, whatever you call it.
Yes.
And then they gave that concept in writing. So that is the difference between it.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
all the best to you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All the rest.
Thank you, sir.
Black.
Unacademy. Let's crack it.